definitely, as we wait to see the word here from DGC Archons on what they're going to ban here. Still waiting for the official confirmation. But once we know that ban, again, it'll be interesting. Tracer is definitely one of the options that you could ban if you're DGC Archons, if they so decided on it. Looks like we do have the ban, and call Shadowfang the Prophet, because it seems like DGC Archons have banned Tracer. So Tracer out of the running here from DGC Archons. So we have D.Va and Tracer not eligible here on Busan. So, I mean, interesting sort of way. Again, as DGC Archons, you can deny that Tracer ban. You can deny that Tracer play, meaning that if Subsun wanted to play a dive composition with a Winston or a Ball, they no longer have that Tracer to enable them with them.
Yeah, and like I said, D.Va is one of the best heroes to deal with Tracer as well. So it's like Tracer can't just run freely anymore. You know, Brigitte can be really annoying for a Tracer, but just Brigitte isn't like that tough to deal with. Whereas, you know, Brigitte and D.Va, it's like it's so hard to get that high level of value on that Tracer.
Yeah, absolutely. As we take a look here at the starting lineups for these teams, we're going to start off with Subsun again, veterans to the CGL scene, and we're starting to see some of these interesting heroes that these players like to play. Maple and Ruby are going to be making up the DPS line. You have M21X on that tank line, and then to finish it out, you have DBRX and Patago on the support line. It'll be interesting to see if they decide to play their favorite heroes. A Mercy Jetpack Cat comp is a very interesting choice, but it'll be interesting to see if they decide to do that here for Subsun. So again, this team is veterans to the scene. They've been playing in CGL for quite a while, so it'll be interesting to see how they're going to be able to make this work to start off. But on the opposing side, again, the rookies, the unknown players, DGC Archons. You have Tiger and Zephyr making up the DPS line, Zombastron on the Winston here for the Zombastron on the tank, and then Speed Boost and Sovereign on the support role. I would not be surprised if I see Speed Boost on Lucio. It just makes too much sense.
I mean, it really does, and Lucio always just such a good choice to have out because, you know, having that mobility just to move everybody around the map a little bit quicker. Sound Barrier still being one of the best defensive ultimates in the game. You know, it makes too much sense to be pairing Lucio to just, you know, help your team succeed better.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll have to see how these two players are going to be able. We'll be able to see how these teams are going to really use their compositions to their advantage here on Busan. I'm interested to see, again, it all is based on favorite heroes, but obviously based on those favorite heroes, it'd be interesting to see if DGC Archons decide to go for that Winston, and if Tiger decides to go for the Widowmaker on Busan Sanctuary, because Widowmaker can be kind of a threat on Busan Sanctuary because it's such a wide sort of perspective, very open sight lines. You can easily try to snipe someone out if you're in the right positioning. So it'll be interesting to see how these two teams are going to adapt through the strategy as they go along, and what team is going to be able to come out on the top.
No, absolutely. I'm wondering if we're going to see any jetpack shenanigans. Like, that's what I'm really looking forward to. I would love to see like the double pocket on a couple of heroes. Just go. You wouldn't be able to do this now because you don't have the Tracer, but just run the ball and the Tracer around the map and then have a double pocketed Bastion flying around. It's the most ludicrous thing I've ever seen, and people do it. People do it in ranked. It's the most ridiculous thing ever, and I would love to see somebody actually be able to coordinate. Someone that can coordinate really well. Do something with that Jetpack Cat tether.
I mean, listen, with friends yesterday, I was able to pull off a helicopter move with Reaper and Jetpack Cat, where you Death Blossom on the leash of Jetpack Cat, and you're able to kill anybody in the air or anyone who doesn't notice. So it's definitely possible. AC-130, D.Va Bomb delivery, helicopter, anything can happen. Jetpack Cat has really been the most like influential hero in terms of messing up everybody's composition, because you can just tether somebody and then no one will expect it. Basically, you can make any hero a Pharah, and that is dangerous when put into the right hands.
No, it absolutely is. I definitely want to see what these two teams' plans are coming into this map. Obviously, the sub map that gets selected first is going to be heavily. I feel like the role of the sub map is heavily inducive of what will actually end up happening here, because like you mentioned Sanctuary. That's a really strong map for those poke style compositions, whereas you get Mecha Base, significantly better for the brawl style compositions. Downtown tends to be better for those dive style compositions, and especially not having D.Va available, it's going to leave a lot more rain for those Ashe players, the Freya players, the Widows. You know, any of those long range hit scans are just going to be able to have a lot more freedom now, because it's you don't have defense matrix to stop you from getting booped around the map like you do on Diva as Winston. It's the most irritating difference between the two characters for me personally as a tank player. It's like, oh yeah, I can't just DM constantly as I fly towards somebody so they can just coach gun me away from them.
Yeah, absolutely. We're about to load in here to Busan. Again, a reminder of the rosters here as we head into the first map of this series. And also a reminder, Subsun, again, 1-1 right now in the standings. They're trying to get their way into the mid-season tournament. So any points, any wins could be crucial here. DGC Archons, maybe not looking at that mid-season tournament, but looking to still try and rebound from a rough start to the season. But anything could happen for both of these teams as we're about to load into Busan for our first map of this first to 3 series. And Busan, again, very interesting map, very beautiful map as well, taking place within Korea. Very beautiful map and a lot of great sightlines as we are going to be starting off here on Sanctuary. So that, again, that poke-style map that you were mentioning, Shadowfang.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like these two teams have very different ideas of what they want to do, right? Subsun looking like they're going to be running the Zarya Rush-style comp, and they're just going to kind of leave Ruby in the back. I think Ruby's going to have a tough time living here just because of the pure dive that we're seeing from DGC Archons. Now, again, maybe Ruby swaps to something else, but that's why that Tracer ban is just so critical. You're basically forced to play Sojourn as a hit scan, otherwise you're not going to have the mobility.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see as here comes Subsun making their way to the right side. DGC Archons also making their way over to the coast side. Both teams just setting up, waiting for the move. As now here comes Maple, teleporting right into the backline and immediately forcing the retreat from DGC Archon, Sovereign, and Tiger going down the wrong way. They end up getting back to the spawn door, courtesy of those double-barrel shotguns. Zephyr now trying to face off against the Reaper, looking like something out of an Overwatch war comic right now. Looks like at the end of the day, Subsun are going to be able to deliver the point to themselves.
I mean, a little bit of splitting there from DGC Archons, right? When Maple just teleports into the backline like that, there wasn't really much of a response to it. Maple is just allowed to just immediately get 2 kills. And I mean, I think even Maple was a little surprised with the way they were moving right there.
Well, it's going to be a return here for the side of DGC Archons. They will be able to get rid of Ruby, but Zephyr costs their life for it here. So now that Vendetta's out of the equation, a lot of your dive pressure is gone. But you're still able to eliminate the Lucio here, but it's Maple with the Reaper once again cleaning up some of the picks. They will get killed out here by Tiger, but the damage has already been done. As I say that, though, Tiger, half health to the name. One versus the carry, but it's going to be DBRX coming out on top. But it's looking rough for Subsun. They only have half of their team at the fight right now, so they will either have to hold this point or just give it up to DGC to get another fight in.
Well, they're doing a good job of just, resetting, getting a full team reset here for this next fight. Only ultimate that's online is Tiger having that overclock. Outside of that, the thing that we're really the closest to is that Death Blossom from Maple, so I don't expect too much to happen here outside of that overclock.
Zombastron going to be going right into the backline here, going right for Ruby on that Ashe, was unable to finish the job here. Now Tiger going to be using the overclock, immediately trying to burn down M21X, going to be able to do exactly that. They will get killed out here by Ruby, but right after getting rid of DBRX as well. So Subsun now in a little bit of a disadvantage. Maple's now gone as well, so you don't have that powerful Reaper pressure. And now DGC Archon's going to be taking the point for themselves using only that one ultimate.
And really good work from DGC Archons, not needing more than just that overclock. Good job from Tiger there, just managing to get those eliminations as they did. Now we've got the dueling Kitsune rushes, and that's tough, actually. That is not the way you want to start that fight.
Nope, Zephyr dying immediately, and Sovereign getting killed out by Maple. That, I believe, is the second time this game that Maple's able to get that final kill on the Kiriko. Zombastron also going down here to M21X, and that's just going to be a quick flip here for DGC Archons. Or for Subsun, excuse me.
And I mean, it looks like Subsun continuing to just get really aggressive here. May even ult them in their spawns. It's close enough to the end of the round that I think it would be pretty smart to try and just hold them in their spawn here as much as you can.
Yeah, and they're going to do exactly that. Starting off with the Kitsune Rush. DBRX is going to be able to get the better of their adversary, but they cost their life for it thanks in part to Zombastron. But here comes the Death Blossom from Maples. Burns Zephyr to a crisp. Speed boost also removed out of the fight. Now Zombastron, 1 health to the name, doesn't have Primal up, is going to get killed out by Patico. And that's going to be a cleanup from Subsun to take the first point, 100-26 on Busan.
I mean, DGC just not managing to build those ultimates up fast enough, right? The only thing we saw them use was the overclock and the Kitsune rush. And right here, this is what I was talking about. Maple just goes straight into the back line, And where's the peel of any sort to try and deal with this Reaper that just blatantly teleported into my backline like that? That is a tough way to lose that round for sure. DGC had some good moments here and there, but I think that this Zarya swap is going to help out significantly. Zephyr really needs that bubble on that Vendetta to just stay alive a little bit longer.
Yeah, we'll see if that Zarya is going to make the difference as they go out with the TP yet again. Once again, bringing Zephyr onto that Vendetta. So, yeah, that bubble definitely... Zarya Vendetta is kind of an underrated sort of combo composition because you have the bubble to keep Vendetta alive. If you go for the right perks to Zarya, you can just profit off of all of those bubbles as much as possible. But right now, DGC Archons just seem to have trouble pushing in right now. It's going to be Maple going on that flank, but unable to find any sort of kills. But now we also have Ruby switching over to the Cassidy, and Speed Boost now removed. That is a crucial part of DGC Archons because it is a Speed Boost. Literally. Now they can't have any way to get in. It's going to be M2, M21X, and the rest of their team holding right at the doors here. While DGC Archons wait for the Lucio to come back.
Yeah, I mean, Zephyr goes down right there, too, so you got to wait again. And, I mean, who else but Ruby? Ruby getting on one of those classic hit scan characters. Cassidy already up to 73% on that Deadeye. I mean, if you're DGC, you're having a really hard time engaging here. Like, you gotta find some opening kill, somebody just out of position.
It's already found out in one position for DGC Archon. Zephyr getting caught out here by Ruby, who's just fanning the hammer right into Zombastron Zarya bubble, and that's going to be another cleanup here for Subsun. DGC Archons, they seem like they just want to try to push in, but they're having trouble executing such a push.
This really feels like a moment where DGC needs to just amp speed somewhere very quickly to just get out of these kill boxes. Like right now, they're faking one way, going the other way, but they're taking so long to do it. They're allowing DGC to set, or they're allowing Subsun to set up.
Well, Kitsune Rush from Sovereign might change things here as DGC Archons start making their way in. Subsun continuing to try and stabilize here. Ruby dropping extremely low, able to get rid of that out of that vortex field, but M221X is traded here. So Zombastron able to get that kill. Subsun now down their tank, and you see the immediate retreat here from Subsun. They want to wait for their tank to get back before they make another push. Zombastron going to be pulling M21X, just standing right by the doors and hoping no one can get out. And they get Ruby out as they were trying to make their way back.
Yeah, I mean, great play there from Sovereign, getting that stagger kill like that. That'll allow your team to build up some more of these ultimates. As you can see, Subsun has the Deadeye, they got the Kitsune and the Sound Barrier. DGC just having that Sound Barrier online. Getting really close to the overclock, though. Speed boost in this Sound Barrier is going to be very, very crucial for DGC.
Here comes the Speed Boost here from Patico with the Sound Barrier in tow. Speed Boost Archers with their own here. But the Deadeye from Ruby lands right onto Speed Boost. And Zombastron is taken out as well. Ruby is out here taking names and taking games for their own. It's going to be Zephyr getting rid of Patico, but the damage has already been done here for the side of DGC Archons. Zephyr's going to be able to stall at the point, but gets flashbanged immediately. Point goes right back in favor of Subsun.
I mean, there you go. All it took was a Sound Barrier and then the Deadeye. That's all you needed. If you're Subsun, you managed to hold on to everything else. You have the other three ults online. DGC still only has that overclock. They're getting close on the others, but with a quick engage here, Subsun can close this map out.
It's going to be Zephyr trying to make their way in, but here comes that push immediately from M21X. Just trying to force out these abilities from the side of DGC Archons, especially with this Rampage up. But here comes that overclock coming out from Tiger. We saw them do big things before on the overclock. Not going to be the case here today. Does get hit out by Maple's Death Blossom, but is able to get the return. DGC Archons now making their way over to the point. Again, it is do or die right now. They either get this point or they lose the map, and they already find the kill. They unfortunately lose their Kiriko midway through, and Sovereign had the Kitsune Rush. It is going to be a flip here. Zephyr's the only one on the point. Going to be using this Tectonic Shock to try and find values. M21X with this Kitsune Rush from DBRX just trying to stall it out, but eventually the damage is going to be done. Zephyr going to be killed out here by Ruby, but it's going to be a last-minute touch here from Tiger. Here comes that Kitsune Rush from Sovereign right down the middle as the Deadeye comes out from Ruby, and no one from the side of DGC Archons able to touch the Deadeye, and the Rampage just too much pressure. Subsun going to be taking the first map in the series.
I mean, honestly, pretty dominant fashion there from Subsun. Like I said, DGC had some moments where they were able to get some good ultimate combos off, but it was really just in those neutral fights where no ultimates were available for either side that we were seeing really big plays consistently from the side of Subsun. They seem to just know where to position their comp, when to engage, when to go for these flank plays like we saw Maple do several times on that Reaper. and it was just working out better for them consistently, whereas anytime DGC got any sort of dive going, they were getting trades, as opposed to Subsun was typically just getting eliminations.
Yeah, definitely. Subsun just being able to get those sort of big kills to be able to get themselves in position here. So really for DGC, it really seems to be a matter of getting themselves back in order here. And we have seen some good plays. Again, Tiger was the one who got the play of the game with that overclock. So there definitely is potential here for DGC Archons, but they just need to try and clean up a little bit here as they go along in the series. So we'll have to see what becomes of them as we go deeper into the series right now. But what we do know definitively is that DGC Archons will get the map pick here for the second map. So this could be a place where they try to make advantage of their sort of specialties as a team, what they want to play, what they think that they're best on, and what they think are going to be able to come out on top with.
Yeah, and I mean, you have a lot of options here with it being the first map pick of the game. You get every other map type, every other map in general is going to be available. So it really just depends on what your preference tends to be as a team. Are you more of a hybrid team, a push team, flashpoint, or escort? You know, I would say probably you want to stay away from any maps where hit scans are going to be dominant, because, you know, Ruby just tends to be a very talented, very strong hit scan player. So let's try and avoid the maps where it becomes difficult to get on top of Ruby as fast as possible.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what that move is going to be here. Again, we're still waiting for a confirmation of that ban, but it does seem like DGC Archons, they were the only one to pop out the Winston, so I wouldn't be surprised if they try to go to a dive map here, Shadowfang, because Winston is a very prominent dive hero. If you want to play a dive map and want to use that Winston, that's your best opportunity. Not to mention, if you're really keen on playing the Winston, you protect ban tank, and then you can actually play that Winston into the map here. So we'll see what that move is going to be here. Still waiting on the official confirmation here, but it'll be definitely interesting to see what DGC Archons decide to come up with here for the second map.
Like I said, I like your idea of them potentially going like a Gibraltar, or let me see, is Route 66 one of our maps available? Yes, Route 66 is one of our maps available. I like the idea of going like Gibraltar, Route 66, maybe we go a Hollywood, a Numbani, you know, just a couple of maps where dive is more predominant, if that's the way you're wanting to go. But as we saw, Ruby's selected hero is actually Tracer. Ruby, well known for being that hit scan player, also is the Tracer player. So, you know, the Tracer is going to now be available, unless, of course, Subsun bans it. And like I said before, the Diva is also going to be available. So it can change things up pretty significantly, just having Diva back into the hero pool. You know, maybe DGC is actually a Diva team. I reference back to myself on this. I would rather play Winston, but Diva just tends to be a lot easier to get those higher levels of value out of right now. It's a lot harder to coordinate a Winston dive than it is to just be Diva. Yeah, like that's all you have to do. You just have to be Diva, exist in the direction of somebody, and hit your micro missiles, and you probably will kill them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Diva has been pretty powerful, especially we've been seeing a lot of OWCS teams go for Diva in those sort of top ranks. But you know what counters Diva the best here, Shadowfang? Is going to the most brawl-heavy map in the game. That's right, second map, tried and true, no strings attached. Or DGC Archons have selected King's Row as our second map. So we're going to King's Row, one of the most famous maps in Overwatch history, typically known as Scrims Row because everybody scrims it because it's the most popular map. So it's going to be interesting to see what these teams are going to think of here for King's Row and how they're going to be able to make advantage of this map pick.
Yeah, I totally agree. This also makes sense because we saw DGC really opt for that Zarya Vendetta a lot as well. Like, they tried to make the Winston Vendetta work. I don't tend to actually like the Winston Vendetta combo, just generally. I think it can work with Diva because you still have the defense matrix, and that'll get you some good value, but it's really got to be like the Diva or the Zarya going with the Vendetta. And if they're going to continue to try and force that, I think that King's Row is going to be a much more beneficial map for you. And so here we are, DGC Archons going to get this first ban out here. And, you know, I would tend to say that you ban something like, You could, I think, just based on the first map, I would ban Queen just to make sure you're protecting your Zarya. You mentioned that earlier about protecting your potentially Winston. Well, on this map, I want to protect my Zarya. So let's ban out the Queen, because that's what we saw Subsun play on map number 1. We know that's their favorite comp to play. You know, that works too, though. You know, Reaper was pretty much a menace as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Maple Reapers seem to do a lot of value here for Subsun, so I don't disagree with this pick at all here. DGC Archons decide they're done with Reaper. You're going to a brawl-heavy map. You might as well get rid of the Reaper. Subsun, meanwhile, their answer, they could ban a tank here to try and counter it, which, again, that could blow up in DGC Archon's face, depending on what they want to try and play here. It'll be interesting to see it'll be interesting to see how these bans really play out. Because again, that Reaper, it seemed to be the biggest thorn in the side, especially when it came to Sanctuary. But the Reaper didn't really do that much value when it came to Mecha base. So it'll be interesting to see. This is a much more closed-in map for the side of DGC Archon. So maybe the Reaper wouldn't have been as much of a threat. But what we do know is that their Zarya Vendetta comp is out the door. The Zarya ban coming in here from Subsun denies that Zarya play from DGC Archon. So if they were thinking of playing Zarya, they're not going to do it until map number 3.
And I mean, it makes perfect sense. Like I was saying, you've seen them play. You've only seen Vendetta, right? You have not seen another hero from Zephyr yet. So you have no reason to believe that they're going to swap off of that character. So yeah, get rid of the thing that enables Vendetta to get more value. So, you know, perfect ban there from Subsun. And, you know, that really, that almost forces you into like either an Orisa or like a Diva style comp here. Really just depends on what DGC is going to favor in terms of their DPSs.
Yeah, we'll have to see what these two teams are thinking about right now. Waiting for the R's to get into the map selection here, or get into the map starting here. But once we get started, it's going to be interesting to see what these two teams are thinking about. Once again, 1-0 if you're coming in today. Subsun coming in right now. Subsun 1-0 against DGC Archons after the win on Busan. Heading into our second map, DGC Archons again selected King's Row as our second map of the series. We'll have to see if they're able to make a comeback here, or if Subsun are going to get their second map and put themselves into match point heading into the halftime break. It is worth noting as well, as we head into King's Row, that DGC Archons have yet to win a map this entire season. Subsun have yet to lose a map this entire season. So if DGC Archons aren't able to take this map, it would mark history for both teams here in CGL Season 17.
All right, so immediately, so Subsun on attack. I'm going to ignore their composition for right now. DGC, though, being on the defense, I don't know. I feel like Zephyr's going to have a really hard time staying alive on this Pharah.
Yeah,
right? I've mentioned it time and time again. Ruby, a fantastic hit scan player. And you're basically depending on your Kiriko. I always call them bus tickets. I know what they actually are. But you're depending on your Kiriko sheets to fly at you in the air faster than you can basically get hit 2 times at the most. And that's asking a lot against a player like Ruby.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest factor here is probably going to be Zama Strong, because Junker Queen is somewhat countered here by Ramatra, especially with that Vortex field. But meanwhile, if you're hitting dives like that, I mean, there's going to be no problem here for the side of Subsun. We'll have to see. Ruby currently loaded on the Widowmaker, looking for the perfect peeking angle. They know that Zephyr is on this far, hiding behind the Alderwerf Hotel. So I have to see if they're able to get that perfect pick off to start off here. Zephyr going for the flank angle. Should really be careful, because that Widowmaker of Ruby can easily spot them out if they don't notice it in time. But meanwhile, Subsun have made their way around to the opposing high ground. So they've taken this spot away from DGC Archons, and now Maple's going to be trying to go in here with Adventure, just forcing off DGC Archons from all of his high ground.
Yeah, good job from Subsun forcing this position.
Ooh, and what a good move there from Subsun as well to try and fade out the picks. It's going to be 2 picks there for Subsun. Tiger and Speed Boost now removed. Patico is removed as well, but they have to be careful about that for their heroes. Sovereign now the only healer, but Zephyr is removed. So is Zombastron. Basically everything but the kitchen sink is taken care of, and the kitchen sink and Sovereign is now gone as well. So Subsun going to easily take this first point here, while DGC Archons are back to the drawing board.
And yeah, that was just superior positioning and just movement around the map by Subsun. Just using all the mobility that their characters have to get to those high grounds, clear them off. And there goes Ruby getting a kill onto Tiger with this Widowmaker.
Ruby once again opening up shop at the barbers, being able to slice off somebody's head. Maybe not the most expertise barber, but still able to get the job done, I guess. Subsun now trying to make their way in. They will lose Maple, however. A little bit of over-aggression there from the Venture. Means now that Zephyr able to get their first kill here. DGC Archons trying to make advantage of this. Zephyr almost getting the 2-tap right into Panico, but it's going to be Zombistron getting rid of the Lucio. And Zephyr pokes their head out with one too many inches in the wrong direction. Subsun now have an opportunity to really re-engage here after their team comes back.
I mean, another great shot there from Ruby, as you said, being a barber, if you will. And in the meantime, we have built up to this rampage if we're M21, getting very aggressive right now. I like that. Forces all the cooldowns and gets the rampage off.
Perfect rampage there from M21X, forcing out that kunai or whatever it was. Suzu, thank you. Been a while if you couldn't tell. All the way out from Sovereign, and then in the minute it take me to remember the term Suzu, they're able to finish off Zephyr for the team kill.
I gotta point out that M21 just smacked a far out of the air with a throwing knife. That's like a freak out moment, like 5 years ago if you're playing Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Like that's a freak out worthy moment right there. And here comes the engage. Yep, 2 Kitsune rushes and a Tectonic Shock all thrown into the equation here. Maple unable to get anything with their ultimate. Now Zombistron gonna try to sustain here with this Annihilation, dropping extremely low, but now Zephyr answers back. One barrage target right onto Ruby, doing a lot of damage as well to get rid of Panico, and the damage as well going on to DBRX, who will get killed out here, or M21X actually first dying to Tiger, but the damage once again has been done. Tiger able to finish off DBRX as well, and Subsun once again going to be back to the drawing board, but so close already to capping that first checkpoint. Oh, Maple might get staggered out here unless they're able to find a kill here to try and get out late. Nope, unfortunately gets killed out by Sovereign before they're able to make it to the team. I mean, great work there from DGC retaking that point. It was an expensive fight, but you held on to your sound barrier, which I think is important. You know, both teams have their sound barriers online here for this fight. So you're in a relatively even fight, and Tiger getting really close to that Deadeye as well, and this is a tough spot to get out of if you're Subsun.
Well, we'll see if the Lucio beat will help them in any faction. Panico using the beat, but now it expires. Speed Boost answers back. It actually gets the Lucio 1v1 win out here with their own sound barrier. And now it's just the Venture of Maple trying to make their way in, but Zephyr gets rid of Ruby. That hit scan presence now out of the equation, setting up for DBRX to get killed out as well. So DGC Archons continuing to start his hold. They're starting to find some sort of sustainability, and M21X is in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's very little chance they're able to get out as they play Ring Around the Rosie out of the bar.
And eventually M21X does go down there. They do build up another rampage in the meantime, though. And, you know, we've seen this Queen just be an absolute menace on maps number 1 and 2 now. As a, you know, side note, Ruby has swapped off of the Widowmaker onto the Cassidy here, looking for more of that close range damage. But Zephyr going to have this barrage online. They've been doing a good job. They did a good job of getting that high value with it, but then Panico on the Jetpack Cat taking down the Pharah.
There you have it. His CGL history, the first broadcast kill with Jetpack Cat on the NA side. Tiger gets rid of him with the Deadeye, and now here comes that rampage coming out from M21X, and it hits everyone alive on the side of DGC Archons. Tiger is down, trying to get rid of that Kiriko of Sovereign as well, but the sustainability is still there from DGC Archons. Subsun just not having the same amount of sustainability, and now DBRX is removed as well. So Subsun might have to go back to the drawing board here with only a minute left, but they're still committing to this push, even though their Kiri's out of the fight.
Yeah, you definitely want to wait for DBRX to get back. Kitsune Rush is going to be a very key ultimate for this fight, but if you can manage to get one kill, I think that's where you can feel free to get aggressive here.
We'll have to see. Aggressing could also be the name here of Panico's play onto the Jetpack Cat. Zephyr getting found out by the Jetpack Cat and just barely able to stay alive as they go back to the safety of their team. Kitsune rush out from both sides, and here comes Panico getting rid of the barraging Pharah. An absolute insult to injury there for Zephyr. It's going to cost Panico their life as the rest of their team starts dying one by one. That's sort of a trade-off with Jetpack Cat. You go in for the aggressive play, but the rest of your team, unfortunately, doesn't see the light of day. M21X is going to fall as well here, as will Maple, but that was a very investment-heavy fight for Subsun, losing both their Tectonic Shock and their Kitsune Rush. All they have left is this Deadeye from Ruby.
They're pretty close to that catnap as well. And don't doubt M21X when it comes to building up these rampages. It's a very slow building ult, but M21 has built it so fast comparatively. And the catnap could be good at just kidnapping somebody, unless of
Oh,
course,
they
that
aren't able
happens.
to stay alive to get the catnap up. Ruby also dead. All that's left is M21X and DBRX. They have to try and make the difference, but they're not even going to make it to the point with so much pressure coming out here from DGC Archons. But that's going to be a hold here for DGC Archons, holding Subsun down in the middle of the map. 111 meters taken by Subsun here on Kings Row.
And, I mean, honestly, just great work there from DGC responding, right? It was really looking to be more of the same of what we saw on map number 1 at first, but then DGC just holding steady on that second point. Zephyr getting more of these buildings to hide around, I think, was really beneficial, because you can see anytime they were really in the line of sight of Ruby, they were dying pretty early there. And just really the ult cycling just not managing to be in favor of the side of Subsun for the entirety of the rest of those fights after that one happened that got them all the way through second.
Yeah, definitely. Again, Subsun seem to have the good piece together, but they seem to be losing their members way too quickly. Part of that also might be related to this Jetpack Cat. I mean, yes, of course, it was able to win the Pharah 1v1, able to force out that barrage, but at the same time, that Jetpack Cat seemed to be a little bit of a thorn on the side of Subsun's side, but now we're seeing a full compositional swap here from the side of Subsun. They're going to be pulling out the Domina here from M21X, and this could really change how they want to play the strategy here.
I'm interested to see how it's going to pair with, like, the Venture, right? Because I understand how Domina pairs with other poke heroes, but I'm just generally curious to see how it works, especially with the Lucio speed. You're just going to be able to speed your Domina around a good bit, which should be interesting as well.
Domina set up on the high ground. M21X going to be moving back up to the low ground here, and already caught up in that vortex here from Zombistron. DGC Archons pretty much have a free reign to the point here, because that Domina's up on the high ground, unable to pressure out the enemy team, but they just have to be careful about the players on the low ground. Maple's going to be seeming like they're going to be going for the low ground here, as Zephyr's starting to put on some pressure onto this Domina of M21X. So much pressure going in, but thankfully they do have that ability to get their shields back online. But one tick taken from DGC Archons. Might be two here if someone doesn't contest. But right now it seems like Subsun are all on the high ground, and they're able to get rid of Maple, the only person here from Subsun that would have been able to realistically stall out the objective. Zephyr going in for the 1v1 against Ruby, forcing out that coach gun, as now the point taking over. It's going to have to be a desperation touch here from M21X and the rest of Subsun, and Paddock goes out of the fight. Tiger getting rid of that crucial speed boost, as now Ruby, however, is getting rid of multiple targets. Zombistron and speed boost out of the fight. Tiger just barely able to get back to the comfort of their team, though, so DGC Archons not yet having the point, but super close to getting it.
Oh, very, very close. You know, just clutch plays there from the side of Subsun. And you do get another kill from Ruby. Those early kills are just what you hate to see if you're DGC Archons, and it just gives you that much more time to reset if you're the side of Subsun.
Yeah, now you have
Domina, and for the side of Subsun, they're getting close to this Panopticon from this Domina. The Kitsune Rush is almost online, and you've got Bob available. You know, dueling Kitsune Rushes from either side. I think Speed Boost Sound Barrier for the side of DGC Archons could prove very crucial.
Here comes that Panopticon right onto the Ramatra of Zombistron, and there's so much pressure. Reminder, when you have a Lucio on your team, you can't receive any sealing through that shield. You have to keep yourself alive through any means possible. That being said, it looks like it might be back and forth. As I say that, though, DGC Archons just cleaning up the remaining bits. Sovereign and Tiger just trying to run away from the fight, but this could be good. Both DPS are gone here for the side of Subsun. DGC Archons are going to come back fast. They might have an opportunity to quickly cap this. Kitsune Rush out, both sides. DBRX and Sovereign answer back. Tiger trying to finish out the deal, and that's going to be it. Both Kitsune Rushes able to stall it out. Maple comes in for the final touch, but it's not going to be enough. Subsun going to be giving up this first point here. DGC Archons on their way to their first map win. They only have 111 meters to go.
They got 4 minutes to get there, too. They got a good bit of time. Yeah, what you can't do is stagger yourself out too hard here if you're Subsun, because you should have, realistically, 2 to 3 fights on this point. Right, and the one good thing about you losing that fight is that you managed to build up to your sound barrier. So now you've got matching sound barriers, and you got matching sound barriers. You have a Bob if you're Subsun, and then for the other side on DGC, you have a Deadeye, and you're pretty close on this Annihilation as well. But I think the Annihilation is going to be really difficult to get value out of into this team.
Zombitron trying to already force out all the powers here from M21X. Again, the most lethal part about Domina is the absolutely absurd range that they have on their primary fire, because that's about 20 to 25 meters on that primary fire. So much range you can get with that. Just being able to poke out from long distances is definitely the most poke-heavy tank. Bob's going to be invested here early from Ruby. Tiger's going to be able to get the job done on the big Omnic Butler. As you see now, the Far of Zephyr, as well as Speed Boost on the Lucio going on the flank here. Patico going to be able to get rid of Zephyr, but now Ruby's out of the fight as well. It's going to be DGC Archons starting to find some value here. Deadeye comes out here from Tiger, but the Panopticon blocks every shot from it. But now that Annihilation comes out from Zombitron going right into the back line. 2 picks, looking for a third onto Mabel here. Walking, trying to keep themselves alive as that Sojourn dropping extremely low. Maple just trying to stay alive will eventually get picked up by Sovereign, and now it's looking last ditch ever here for Subsun. They're on the emergency Jarker Queen.
Oh, and losing Patico there is probably going to be the nail in the coffin. I don't think there's going to be able to be a touch here from Subsun.
Someone's there. It's Ruby on the Tracer, but now the rest of Subsun are nowhere in sight. DBRX dies in the final quarter, and that's the first map win for DGC Archons here in CGL Season 17 in CGL history for this team as well, showing that they mean business here when it matters the most.
Yes, they absolutely do. And I really think it felt like they just started to figure out how to play their composition a little bit better, what angles they needed to be on as we went across the map, right? Especially once they got to this second point, they seemed to really just figure out where to play at, how to position, and it just proved to be a little too much for the side of Subsun to overcome.
Yeah, definitely. Again, Subsun, they were also seem to be relying a little too much on those brand new heroes. But again, we saw the Domina there on the defense, which seemed to work pretty well for a little bit, but the pressure from that Ramatra can be very difficult. Domina is a very, I mentioned how good Domina is at poke, but if you have a team that can run down a Domina, the Domina's dead. There's no way around it. Domina does not have that much sustain, so when it comes to playing against a Ramatra like that, kind of questioned staying on that Domina for that long period of time, but Again, it's experimenting with the new heroes. This is the first week you can use the new heroes. You might as well experiment, and who knows, you can hit plays like that, where Patico goes on the Jetpack Cat and beats out a barraging Farah. So, really good. I mean, again, we're seeing those good plays coming out here from Subsun, but it seemed to be a little less coordinated there compared to usual. So, it's going to be interesting to see what the moves are going to be here coming into the next map. But with that being said, we have hit the halftime break here for this series, but when we come back, we'll see if Subsun are able to close it out, or DGC Archons still have some wild cards that they can put on the board. Don't go anywhere. More CGL Season 17 coverage comes up right after the break. Both of these teams have already experienced a first-time occurrence this season in CGL Season 17. It was the first map loss for Subsun, the first map win for DGC Archons here in this series. As we head into map number 3, Bowsy once again joined here by Shadowfang on the cast. And it's going to be interesting to see. This is the first time Subsun have been put in a situation where they have to choose the map this season of CGL, Shadowfang. So anything is on the table here, and we'll have to see what they decide to go for here to try and change up the strategy and throw DGC Archons for a loop.
Well, you know, we do already have our map selection. I swear I would have said this, though, just based on the heroes that they constantly play, Subsun. But our next map is going to be New Junk City, and this makes perfect sense based on the fact that we've seen M21 play other heroes, but M21 is primarily playing the Junker Queen. So let's go to Flashpoint, which is a mode that Junker Queen is very dominant on. And in particular, I think Junker Queen plays really well on New Junk City.
Yeah, Junker Queen is very well known. Again, she owns the place, so she should be really good at New Junk City. But regardless of which, Junker Queen can be a very heavy brawl hero composition. And if you're playing those brawl heroes, you can definitely make advantage of it. So very good move here to go to New Junk City, force out that sort of brawl composition. As we're going to take a look here at the bans here soon. And when you're the side of Subsun, obviously this is the first, you're picking first here for the bans. You already picked up that D.Va and Zarya here. So you've had pretty much tanks this entire time. Is it worth it to try and go to a different role, or do you decide to stick on the tank? Is the question you're probably asking yourselves if you're Subsun here.
So there are two picks. I was going to say that as one of them. My other thing was going to be Kiriko. I was like, those are really your two options here. But Ramatra is just difficult for Queen to get through. But so is Orisa, right? So, you know, you're stuck with two heroes that Queen has just a really hard time generally dealing with. And so, you know, getting rid of the Ramatra makes perfect sense here. It was giving them a real problem on King's Row.
Yeah, we'll have to see if it's going to be able to change their outcome here. Again, that Ramatra coming out here from DGC was able to really turn the favor in their tide, simply because that Ramatra could do so much brawl pressure, especially into a Junker Queen. I mentioned before, the Vortex Field is one of the biggest counter abilities to a Junker Queen, because you could just rush. You can't really go as fast as a Junker Queen. You get slowed down by your rush, or by that Vortex Field, so it really does make a difference. The question then becomes now, what do DGC decide to ban? They've already banned the Reaper and the Tracer. They have a knack of banning the DPS, but they're going to go out and ban the Lucio. Interesting from the team that has the player name Speed Boost, but they decide to get rid of that fast movement ability here, which can be crucial in trying to stop a Junker Queen in its tracks.
That honestly was going to be my guess as well. Lucio makes good sense here because I think DGC is going to opt for like either an Orisa, or they're going to go for like a Sigma or Domina, just pure poke style comp, just to try and get this Queen out as fast as possible, right? And if you remove the Lucio speed boost, it's a lot easier to try and track that Queen's movement when you don't have to deal with that amp as often.
We'll have to see how these two teams are going to react. Again, 1-1 here, Subsun versus DGC Archons. And it's going to be interesting to see how these bans play into factor here as we load into New Junk City. And a little bit of trivia for people who happen to be watching. That was this map, that last map, DGC Archons win map, was the first time that Subsun has lost a map since last season. The last time that they lost a map, they lost in an 0-3 fashion. The last time that they lost a map but won the series was 1 week before that. So we'll have to see if they're able to rebound here for the victory. But right now we're looking at these compositions, and we don't see that Lucio, but we instead see the Juno here, Shadowfang.
I gotta be so honest with you. If you were gonna play Reinhardt, I completely take back everything I said about the Lucio ban.
Yep, interesting move here for the Reinhardt here from DGC Archons, but Reinhardt can be a very good counter to Junker Queen. You just go right up into the face. Unfortunately, Subsun now have this hero back online. Reaper was banned last map, and Maple seemed to be the biggest thorn in the sides of DGC Archons. So we'll see if it's going to make a difference here today, but right now both teams meeting up in the main. And now it's going to be interesting because, again, both of the DPS that DGC Archons have banned are now both being played by the side of Subsun. Reaper and Tracer both on the board here.
They are available. You know, there's gonna be a lot of point presence here for DGC Archons. I think that's how you're gonna have to play this.
Yeah, but unfortunately not all of them are able to get to the point in time. It's going to be Tiger dying first here to M21X. Zombatron just trying to chase down this Reaper with the hammer. Will finally get the charge, but the rest of their team is currently dead in the ditch behind them as they're going to be picked out here by Ruby at the aftermath. And it's going to be a flip here. Subsun going to cap the point first.
Yeah, that's a tough way to lose that fight if you're DGC. I would say you need to play fast and try and get an early kill. But realistically, the only character I think you can run down quickly is going to be this Brigida of Pataco. Every other character for Subsun has the ability to get away from a Reinhardt with no Lucio.
Here comes that Reinhardt charge, however, right onto the Junker Queen of M21X, forcing that Junker Queen extremely low. The healing's there from DBRX and Pataco. Pataco blown off! What a beautiful wall coming out from Zephyr to finish out the kill. But now you've lost Tiger as your DPS. Maple enters back, but now the Rampage coming out here from M21X does so much damage. Make it 3 for M21X. Gonna finish off the job with a kill on the Zephyr. 4K Rampage to clean up the fight for Subsun and basically lock down the arena.
And I mean, I mentioned it before, the thing that makes M21X so deadly on this Queen is just the rate at which they build their ultimate. Look at that. Nobody on the side of DGC has built an ultimate yet. Rampage is the first thing that we see come out from either team. That's insane.
And now they're not even able to touch the points. Zombatron tries to go for the last-minute charge, but is unable to make it there in time. The wall up from Zephyr trying to stop the momentum here from Subsun. They want to try to finish out these kills as fast as possible, but it's going to be DGC Archons a little bit more sustained. They have 2 healers compared to Subsun's 1. It's going to be interesting to see. Pulse Bomb comes out from Ruby. Doesn't kill anybody. I believe it only hits Zombatron's shield here. But we also see Subsun making a swap here. No longer going to the Brigida, now going over to the Jetpack Cat. So now there's really nobody on the side of Subsun that DGC Archons can rush onto. Oh, what a good Blizzard, though. That's going to be Junker Queen of M21X caught out in the wrong place. Gets picked out here. But here comes the Death Blossom from Maple. Gets shattered out after they're able to get rid of Speed Boost, but it's still a back and forth affair. Right now, it's only Zombastron on this Reinhardt. Just trying to stay alive, but there's too much pressure from too many different angles.
I mean, we're seeing once again that Jetpack Cat. It's like having another DPS out there almost. Just the rate at which we see final blows come out from that cat is going to be crazy whenever teams are actually playing it. DGC going to swap over to that Orisa. I like that a lot better. Orisa can really deny a lot of what Junker Queen wants to do. You got to be good with your ult usage here, though, if you're DGC.
Here comes that Deadeye and Amplification Matrix coming out here from Tiger and Speed Boost. They're able to get rid of Maple immediately. It's one of the biggest threats gone here, but you already see Pataco trying to go right into the enemy team, trying to get any sort of value here to force them out. It is going to be a flip here for DGC Archons, and now you already see so much damage going in to M21X. But Ruby finds both supports on the Tracer with a Pulse Bomb. Double Pulse Bomb, triple kill here for Ruby, cleaning up the fight here. Zombastron now the only one on the point here. Tiger trying to follow in their footsteps, but they'll get killed out as well. But what a crucial Pulse Bomb find from Ruby to turn the tide.
And that's a tough way for that to go, right? You had the orbital ray available to you to potentially flip that fight if you needed. But, you know, with this Tracer just being in your backline like this, it would almost be smart to just try and mirror Ruby on this Tracer. Otherwise, you're stuck trying to consistently land headshot icicles with Mei, and that's tough.
Here comes the Orbital Ray here from DBRX to start off the fight. Sovereign's going to answer back with their own, but someone has to touch that objective. It's going to be Zombastron touching first, but now the Rampage comes out from M21X. Doesn't find anything, though, but Ruby's already found 2 picks. Speed Boost and Tiger removed from the fight, and now make that 3 for Ruby, getting rid of Zephyr as well. Make that 4. Do they go for the ace? Yes, they do! Ruby single-handedly turning the tide on Tracer to get the team kill and the second point for Subsun.
And Subsun getting back in form to what we saw them doing on map number 1. DGC just hasn't had an answer at all for this composition right now. And the catnap is online. And as we can see, Ruby being carried on that Tracer and just getting basically a bomb dropped from above. Doesn't result in anything, but still a fun play nonetheless.
That's a new one I've seen. I've seen a lot of different Jetpack Cat combos, but that's the first time I've seen the Tracer bomb from above. Meanwhile, DGC Archons trying to hold up on the objective, but Maple's going to be able to get Speed Boost, and there goes the Catnap. Tiger going for a little bit of jump off the edge, thanks in part to Pataco's Catnap, and now the rest of the DGC Archons fall as a result. Subsun going to take the point first, and now on their way to going up to match point in the series.
And don't look now, but we're seeing the cat We're seeing the cat holding
Oh,
up
boy.
Maple 98 on this Deadeye. If you just exist for about 30 more seconds, you're going to, or not Deadeye, this Death Blossom, you're going to have this Death Blossom about 30 more seconds. As long as you don't get knocked out of it by this Orisa, this should be a pretty decent play to try and make.
Here comes the move from Maple. Death from above literally goes right in, gets rid of Sovereign, and Tiger killed out here by Jetpack Cat's territorial perk. And it's going to be the cleanup here once again. Patico just cleaning up the remains, and his Zombistron yet again stuck on the wrong side of history there. I was hoping Maple would stay tethered to the Jetpack Cat, but you know, whatever works best for you, I guess.
You know, it's probably Patico just being like, hey, I need to follow up with some damage. I got to shoot too. You know, I've done that quite a few times trying to tether people with that cat. You would think you'd be able to shoot while tethering, but it makes sense why you can't.
Now it's going to be DGC Archons making their way up with 3 ultimates. Going to start off with this Deadeye here from Tiger. As the Amplification Matrix as well comes out from Speed Boost, it seems like they really like using these 2 ultimates in tandem. It will get them the objective, but now you got to be worried about all the ultimates coming out here from Subsun, especially that Ruby Pulse Bomb. We talked about that Pulse Bomb earlier. It found 2 picks onto both supports earlier, but they're not even going to be able to get it unleashed here yet. Zephyr able to finish them off here on the Genji. Now Zombitron trying to finish out the deal. Here comes the Catnap coming out from Patico, able to get rid of Zephyr off the objective. Here comes the Terra Surge coming out from Zombistron, but it's going to get absolutely nothing as the cleanup is there. And a perfect execution here from Subsun, using that Jetpack Cat better this time around than they did on King's Row, and it's going to land them the second map in the series. They go up to match point here with a win on New Junk City.
And, I mean, it looks like Subsun just got really serious on that map. They were... there was no joking around that time. And, I mean, once again, M21X just continuing to be really dominant on this Queen. Not really being forced to swap at all. And, I mean, the rampages were just crazy every single time.
Yeah, the rampages from M21X have really made a big difference here, as well as a lot of the other plays. We've been seeing, again, the catnaps coming out from Patico, especially after they switched off of that Brigitte, just being able to do that much damage, being able to find those crucial picks. And again, I mentioned that territorial perk, probably the most overpowered perk in the game right now, because you do so much damage against the enemy team with that perk. And also, again, Ruby with the Pulse Bombs, Maple with the Death Blossoms. Everyone on Subsun is clicking on all cylinders right now. And it seems like DGC Archons are just kind of lost trying to figure out what to do here. Also, that was totally Patico's fault that the Pulse Bomb hit nothing there, so you can blame Patico after the match. But regardless of which, it seems like Subsun are definitely having more, able to click on more cylinders and find themselves more success compared to DGC Archons, which are just putting their head on a swivel and trying to figure out what to focus.
Yeah, it's a really tough spot to be in if you're DGC. You do have the ability here to pick the map type. You can get some bans potentially as well. And let's think here. You're stuck between Escort and Push. I tend to believe that Escort is the choice here, just because you want to make it really difficult for Subsun to continue playing this comp.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, the obvious choice is Watchpoint Gibraltar. That is, like, the least likely map that this composition will work on, because it's just so hard to consistently push into this high ground without taking too much poke damage. But, you know, we'll see what DGC opts for, but that would be my pick. Just go Watchpoint Gibraltar.
Yeah, definitely. Again, Watchpoint Gibraltar is a very good map. That's a really difficult map to run Junker Queen on. And from what we've seen, Subsun are not keen on switching off of this Junker Queen unless they want to play Domina, which Domina can be good, but if you have that much dive pressure coming in here from DGC Archons, then it's going to be difficult to make that Domina work. So definitely is an interesting spot right now for DGC Archons. Alternatively, we haven't really seen them play the Winston since that first map, so they could try to still opt for a brawl composition, especially now that they have Ramatra back on the field here. So it's going to be an interesting pick here coming out from DGC Archons, because not only do they get that first map, they get that first ban. Do they protect the tank ban if they decide to go Gibraltar? What do they decide to do here to try and make their map a little bit more effective here? So definitely going to be interesting. Could be. We'll have to see what these teams are going to try and pull out, but we do have the map pick here. And it's not what we were expecting. We were expecting a sort of dive map here. It is Escort, but the move here from DGC Archons is going to be going to Circuit Royale for map number 4. And this is an interesting map. Again, this is a sort of poke map, long-range sightlines, which makes the ban all the more interesting. We'll get into that into a bit here, Shadowfang, but Circuit Royale is the map pick here, which, again, seems interesting. We haven't seen a lot of poke come out here from DGC Archons. Is there something that they're not willing to show us until this map comes out? Or are they going to try to stick with the Ramatra on a Brawl composition?
I suppose that the play here is to try and go for this long-range poke, but like you said, we haven't really seen that much. Even on the map they did win, Zephyr was playing Pharah, and maybe I'm wrong, but I just can't see Pharah being played on Circuit Royale and it going well for you, right?
Yeah.
You have such long, obscenely long sight lines for Ruby to sit on this hit scan. And so you're going to have to match that in some capacity. So, if you're DGC here, I really hope they don't ban Junker Queen, because I don't think that would be a worthwhile ban on this particular map. I think you're better off banning one of these hit scans, or potentially even one of these supports. Like, get rid of a BAP, get rid of a Zen, something like that that's super poke heavy.
Yeah, so this makes it even more curious as to why they're banning Symmetra here. Because, this is an interesting pick. Because I don't see a way that Symmetra could really be the main threat here, unless you were really that worried about Rush on Circuit Royale, or you wanted to play Domina. Because Symmetra can be a pretty good counter to Domina, but also a very good supplementary DPS to Domina. So, this is the most interesting ban I think we've seen next to the Lucio last map, so we'll have to see what the plan is here from DGC Archon here. The only thing I can think about is they want to try to put Tiger on the Widowmaker, which makes sense. Tiger's favorite hero is Widowmaker, so we could very well see that Widowmaker, but the question is, does Tiger have what it takes to go up against Ruby, who we saw Ruby on that Widowmaker back on King's Row and was really good at hitting those headshots, so it'll be interesting to see what the planned move is here from DGC Archon. Meanwhile, Subsun, they're banning the Zenyatta. Plain and simple, no way around it. Zenyatta, very good poke support. You don't want that poke support here on Circuit Royale, where Zenyatta can just completely own the lobby if it's a good Zen player behind the keyboard.
Yeah, and Discord Orb. I really think it's Discord Orb, because I am of the belief that Subsun is not going to stop playing this Queen comp, and Zenyatta can just completely obliterate you given that much space to work with. If they opt for the Iari instead, you can still do a lot of damage with Iari, but you can't make everyone else do a lot of damage with that character. So it's really smart to get rid of the Zenyatta if you're continuing to plan to play that Junker Queen, which I think is what Subsun is going to do.
Yeah, not to mention, in the rare instance that DGC Archons were to try and play a Tracer or Dive, Zen's recent perk is probably the most overpowered perk, is one of the most overpowered perks in the game in my personal experience. 10% lifesteal with a Discord Orb. So you are able to get so much healing, so much sustainability with Zenyatta, it makes it an absolute pain in the butt to eliminate a Zenyatta in these compositions. So I think this is the right move here from Subsun. They might want to go up, they might be expecting a dive composition here to play up against, but regardless of which, heading into map number 4, match point for Subsun. If they win this map, they take the series 3-1. DGC Archons, however, again, trying to take it to a map number 5. They are still winless in their entire CGL history. They're looking to try and stop the bleeding here when it matters the most. We'll have to see if they're able to do it up against this well-acclaimed team. But it's all going to come down to who's going to be able to excel here on Circuit Royale. Beautiful scene of the Monaco shoreline out there. Also the Monaco racetrack right down below. Got a little Monaco GP out here in this sort of area. But we take a look at the early compositions here, and we're already seeing DGC Archons going to their tried and true Ramatra to start off. Zephyr on the Pharah. Let's think about this real quick, Shadowfang. We talked about how Pharah is not a great pick on this map. Why would DGC Archons decide let's go back to it?
I mean, they had some good success with it on King's Row, so it makes sense in that regard. But you just don't have nearly as many buildings to hide behind as you do on King's Row, right? Like, that's a lot of people's complaint about this map, is that it's just a straight line. There's just a straight line. There's no cover. So you're just kind of forced as the Pharah to, peek in and out of these signs, basically. And here comes the queen.
Oh boy, here comes the queen and the Vendetta over the rooftop. Jetpack Cat again enables some of these wacky ass compositions, and it's gonna be the cleanup here from the side of Subsun, getting pretty much a trade out here. Tiger and Speed Boost down. Maple and Patico will die for their efforts, but at the end of the day, that's a win. You take all of that space away from DGC Archons. The high ground is gone. It's all yours for the taking.
Yes, absolutely is. And Maple going to be swapping over to that Tracer now, getting off of that Vendetta, which I do tend to like that pick better, generally speaking.
Now we'll have to see if this Junker Queen is going to counter. Again, the last time we saw Junker Queen from the side of Subsun against this Ramatra, it was a win for DGC Archon, so we'll see if it works in their favor here. Zephyr currently just trying to find this sort of damage here with the rockets. Already has 63% ult charge, but has to try and finish out something here. Ruby currently pestering on the sidelines with the Tracer, almost going straight in for Sovereign. But now here comes the push here from Zephyr as well as from Zombistron. Just keep trying to put out the pressure here. There's so many low targets on the side of Subsun, and the Kiriko and the Jetpack Cat might not be enough to do healing, but they are enough to do damage, as Zombistron unfortunately finds out the hard way. It looks like it's going to be a cleanup here for the side of Subsun as they push forward. The rest of the DGC Archons just holding back, waiting for something to happen, but they're going to have to touch eventually, or it's just going to be the far Zephyr and just move away around the map, and Ruby's going to find that headshot on the Tiger to clean up the points. Oh, Ruby! Okay, yep, it's Ruby Widow time.
And I mean, yeah, back-to-back great shots, taking down both DPSs. You really didn't have to do much to win that first point if you're Subsun. You build up to the infra sites, which I imagine Ruby will use right before the other side engages here. And M21 going to have this Rampage online as well, and we've seen how good he's been with those throughout this series.
Go in here, M21X gonna use that Rampage, already locked onto two big targets, one being Speed Boost, and Tiger pulled off the high ground. Patico gets rid of Zephyr with the Jetpack Cat. No ultimates needed. That's already three ultimates, that's two big ultimates invested here from DGC Archons compared to the one used by Subsun. So it's gonna be Subsun continuing to try and push this out here as the cart starts moving in. Also making the swap here to Sombra for Maple.
Yes, there is. Double support ult's going to be online for the side of Subsun. That Kitsune Rush and that Catnap going to be available. I'm curious to see how it gets used on the map with no spot you can throw people off on.
There is still a way you can use it with this Catnap. Unfortunately, it's not going to be this fight here. Maple ends up getting picked out here. Ruby, however, does trade out here. Zephyr now removed from the fight, so you have that far presence now removed here. But you already see Patico just looking for the perfect opportunity. Catnap, again, as a reminder, it will start pulling the enemy team. Now, you can use that in multiple different ways. Number one, you can pull them off the edge like we saw back then on Sirabasa, or on New Junk City. Number two is a different way, but right now, it doesn't look like we're going to see that either. Tiger able to get the kill on the DBRX, thanks in part to the pressure here from Maple. So it's going to be a reset here from the side of Subsun. Yet again, DGC Archons hoping to try and find any sort of hold, and it looks like they're going to hold for now.
You know, Bowsy, this is kind of what happened on the last map, but Ruby managing to get that kill onto Zephyr is going to be a really good engage point for Subsun.
Yep, and now Zombistron also removed. Patico getting the finish out to Speed Boost here. Once again, DGC Archons forced to try and retreat. Leads to a very good pick here from Ruby. Again, we talked about you go to Circuit Royale and you don't ban Widowmaker. You're asking for a Widowmaker to come out onto the field here, and unfortunately for DGC Archons, they just didn't seem to expect that, and now Subsun, 2 points, 4 minutes on the clock to try and hit the final end of Circuit Royale and full cap the map here with time in hand.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Tiger's done well when they've actually matched Ruby on these particular characters, but just, you know, opting for the Sojourn instead of the Widowmaker, you just don't have the range to deal with this Widowmaker consistently right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to a point where the support going into Ruby to try and get rid of the Far to the point where Zephyr goes right up to the face, isn't able to finish the kill. But now here comes that Rampage coming out from M21X. Does get onto Tiger and Speed Boost. Now all the pressure coming in here. Zombistron just trying to stay alive. Forced to use Annihilation to reset their armor. And now it's just going to get nothing with this Annihilation. Only used to keep themselves alive here. Meanwhile, Patico, the sneaky cat in the backline of Subsun, forced to reset.
Now this is the spot you can throw somebody off the map with this Catnap. So now it should be fun to see what sort of wacky plays Patico is going to go for here.
Well, the wacky play is going back to spawn. That's the first play here. Speed Boost able to get rid of that cat here. And your CM21X going to try to go for the side angle, but Ruby able to equal it out. Tiger now removed from the fight. Patico's going to be coming back here as now Subsun make their way onto the wide rotation. They find Speed Boost all alone there on the side, just barely able to stay alive with that Baptiste. Thankfully able to save their immortality field as well here, but now it comes to how Subsun are going to make this work. That's how. 3-man EMP. Speed Boost caught in the midst of it. They get picked out. So does Zephyr. Patico doesn't even need the catnap. They're just going to find 2 immediately. And 21X is going to clean up Tiger as well. Now here comes that catnap coming out from Patico, just trying to drag this Ramatra out to the circuit. Giant Omnic right in the middle of the racetrack. That might be a hazard, might be a yellow flag conditions. But now it's DGC Archons just trying to find this last minute sort of contest. Amplification Matrix and Overclock coming out here from Tiger and Speed Boost. Barrage comes out from Zephyr as well. 3 ultimates invested, and Ruby is still clicking heads. 2 kills for Ruby. Zombistron back here on the hazard. Now the only one left on the point as Ruby's found a 3rd kill on the Speed Boost. Zombistron having to use their own jagged wall to keep themselves alive and will eliminate Patico before anything goes any more sour.
Oh my goodness, that was so close from Subsun. DGC does manage to stay, to stop that cap for just long enough, but now you're dealing with a Kitsune and a Rampage, and you have nothing. You have 0 things right now. You're not even close to having an ultimate if you're a DGC, but you do take down Patico early.
Good start here already for DGC to be able to get rid of that cat. Ruby, however, answers back. They're able to get rid of Zephyr yet again. It seems like every time Patico dies first, Ruby's able to get the 2nd kill, make that the 3rd kill as well. Tiger now removed. No DPS are left here for the side of DGC Archons. And now Sovereign, probably the most important target against this Rampage, is removed as well. Speed Boost gone in a flash. Looks like Subsun might not even need this Rampage to finish out the fight here as they're just finding pick after pick. So Zombistron hacked, Virus killed out in an absolute flash as Tiger trying to touch the point one more time. Gonna get hacked out and killed here by M21X as it's gonna be one last push here, but no one from DGC Archons is able to touch the point. Subsun able to cap here on Circuit Royale with 56 seconds in the bank. The good news is they're able to cap. The bad news is it took them 3 minutes to get to that final point.
Yeah, but a full cap on Circuit Royale period is just really impressive and difficult to do. You don't tend to see full caps on this map super often. It's more so people getting stuck at that 3rd point. But again, it's just Ruby consistently getting 1st and 2nd kill every single fight. Like, what are you going to do? It's a 5v3 now. Now we're just going to walk at you menacingly, and you're going to die, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, it seems like right now DGC Archons are just continually getting a little over-aggressive when they find that 1st kill, and it's usually Ruby who's able to take advantage of that. They find the kills that they need to get, and they're able to turn the fight around immediately, even after the first pick goes in favor of the Archons. So it's really just about keeping Ruby in check on this Widowmaker right now, which it seems like right now DGC Archons are just not able to do. So we're going to head on here to the defense here for Subsun. Again, as a reminder, they capped the map. If Archons want any chance of winning this map and taking us to a map 5, they have to cap the map at any time with any time left in the bank. But right now we're seeing again Patico's back on the Jetpack Cat. Not surprising there. That Jetpack Cat has been lethal. But Subsun are playing this Sigma Reaper Widowmaker, which has a combination of poke and brawl. DGC Archons, however, they're going to be going to a Jetpack Cat of their own, and they have a Bastion. We might have AC-130 coming over the roof here, Shadow Wolf. Or Shadowfang, excuse me.
There is very high possibilities that is going to be happening. But
Shot
there's
down
also
immediately.
that is also a thing that can happen.
Yeah, shot down immediately. AC-130's wings clipped before it even could come off the ground. I don't even think it left airspace, as it's going to be immediately shut down by Ruby. And that's sort of the pressure again I talked about. If you're gonna play Circuit Royale, you're either dealing with a Widowmaker or you're banning Widowmaker. Right now, I think DGC Archons just seem to be unprepared for that sort of move here, but they're going to start making some swaps here. Zombistron going over to the Sigma, Sovereign going over to the Baptiste. They're staying on the Jetpack Cat only for 2 seconds until they switch over to the Alari instead. Ruby, come on. Please, let him at least leave the spawn door before you start clicking heads.
No, you can't. You got to go for the jump shots, right? You can't be walking in a straight line at any point in time during the series. Sovereign taking down Patico early could prove incredibly crucial.
Yeah, that could be a good pick, and once down for the first time, finally, it seems like Ruby did not get the 2nd pick after Patico and the cat died. It's going to instead be the Zephyr dying, or Maple, I believe, dying here. So now Subsun Forced to back up a little bit here as the cart starts making its way toward turn 6 of the Monaco GP. Speed Boost going to be trying to hold out here with the Solari as well. So it seems like right now DGC Archons have some sort of sustainability. But now they're going to be going in for the full fight. Maple dies immediately. Tiger able to finish them out there. And that's sort of the pressure with having this Reaper in a poke competition. There's so much pressure that the Reaper just can't get the value they need. And now Ruby finally is bested by Zombistron here on the Sigma. And it looks like DGC Archons are all but guaranteed to get the first point here on Circuit Royale.
And there you go, first point cap coming through from DGC. And, you know, I was saying it before, like, Tiger has been a really good hit scan throughout the course of the series. It's just very difficult to deal with a Widowmaker with anything other than a Widowmaker yourself. That's just the reality, especially on this map. You know, getting the Sigma shield should be helpful in helping Tiger actually be able to take that duel. But, again, just generally speaking, it's hard to deal with Widowmaker with anything other than Widowmaker.
So we'll have to see now as DGC Archons going to be holding up very close. You see Ruby there on the left side trying to find that flank pick. Here comes that accretion coming out from M21X. It is a whiff, but now the immortality field from Sovereign is busted out. You know what that means? It's Gravitic Flux time, and there's no cancel coming out here from Zombistron. M21X able to get rid of their adversary, and now Sovereign dead as well. It's going to be a full course reset here for the side of DGC Archons after seeming to have a pretty good push. They're unfortunately going to have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, honestly, solid push, like you said, coming out from DGC.
That's a catnap on the Sovereign. I believe that might have been a cat. Oh, Zombistron got catnapped, uses the flux to keep themselves alive. Not going to be, or actually is going to be able to hit M21X. This might be a rebound here for the side of DGC if Zombistron gets some healing.
It's the most worthwhile Gravitic Flux I have ever seen in my life. I'd have done the exact same thing as the blade is coming out from Zephyr.
It's a back and forth affair, but it's Maple with the Death Blossom in the backline getting rid of Tiger. That does enough damage here in the amplification matrix as well from DBRX, and that probably was the most cost-heavy 2 fights in Subsun's history. They use basically all 4 ultimates if you count the Catnapper at the beginning of that fight.
Yeah, it was a touch on the expensive side, but you're getting this cart going backwards. You're almost at the point where it'll take at least 2 fights in order to cap this point. And taking down Speed Boost again, I mean, Ruby just getting the first kill. Now you're in a 5v4. It's such a huge advantage.
Yeah, Ruby once again showing their stuff back again on this Widowmaker, finding those headshots when they needed the most. And this is going to buy some time as well for Subsun to get these ultimates back online. They're already halfway to the Flux, Catnapper, and Amplification Matrix. 3 big ultimates that can all turn a fight around at a moment's notice here as Ruby still looking for that shot. Gonna be grappling over to the right side as here comes that Captive Sun from Speed Boost, lands right onto Ruby. We can tell who they want to get rid of the most. They're going to get rid of the Immortality Field before they die to the hands of Ruby. And now the damage is starting to come out here. Sovereign getting rid of DBRX and Ruby as the fight seems to go in the way here of DGC Archons. But as I say that, M21X in the kill feed, cleaning it all up. Now it's a Sigma 1v1 on the card. Zombistron versus M21X. Certainly back and forth. The Speed Boost trying to run into the fight, but it's going to be M21X just barely coming out on top with a sliver of HP to their name. They're going to be able to back up here as well with their hands to be able to get back in. And Ruby again constantly finding these headshots at the most crucial moments. Now Sovereign's out of the fight. All such a Speed Boost for heals.
I mean, that's tough too because that's your Amp Matrix. M21 looking for that Gravitic Flux, does not catch on to anybody with that, but Maple does take down Speed Boost immediately.
Here comes Tiger now with the overclock, just trying to find these kills. Will get the kill onto Maple, so now there's barely any DPS left here for the side of DGC Archons. But it's going to be a back and forth affair right now still as Tiger just trying to finish out the field here. But a beautiful shot from Tiger. The creation from M21X completely shut down thanks in part to a headshot with the Amplification Matrix. As it looks like it's going to be DGC Archons making their way into the hotel for heading their way to the final checkpoint. 2 minutes and 20 seconds to see if DGC Archons are going to extra rounds or if they're going to end this series. Oh, this is not good. Nope, not good at all. It's going to be another Force Flux here from Zombistron trying to keep themselves alive from the Catnapper, but they will catch on to Patico as a result, but they lose Zephyr in the process. And how is that cat alive? Please tell me that cat is on its final life of 9.
I mean, once again, you get out the Flux, so it ends up being a very worthwhile exchange. But again, this cat just continuing to be a menace, just going around and doing so much damage. This is a crazy hero. I can't believe Overwatch did this. Like, this is a wild hero.
I'm starting to be convinced that all cats do have 9 lives, but I'm pretty sure Patico has 99, because it feels like they are never dying when they should. They're constantly going in, getting so much value. It's really just insane just how much value this cat has been able to get here for Subsun after such a subpar showing on map number 2. Now Patico really making a difference overall here on the Jetpack Cat, but for now, for Subsun, they're trying to keep themselves stabilized here. 1 minute on the clock for DGC Archons, and some big ultimates are coming online. Amplification Matrix from DBRX is going to start the fight. Zombistron in the worst places of anything, forced to use that ability to get themselves in. But now the Captain Sun from Speed Boost gets eaten up by M21X. Not a good start here for the side of DGC Archons at a time when they need this win. And now they're going to be losing Speed Boost to this Death Blossom. But it's still back and forth. Patico and Maple removed from the fight. Tiger now removed. Tiger also removed. So DGC Archons starting to falter, starting to find any sort of success. Zephyr goes to the backline, unable to get any kills though, as Ruby's able to finish them off. Now 30 seconds to the name, and Sovereign's in the wrong place at the wrong time, getting hit shot by Ruby midair.
Oh man, Ruby getting that kill onto Zephyr with the Widow 76 right there. That is a crazy. It's a crazy death to take, quite honestly, because you know maybe you can get a little bit more cart progress in the event that you kill Ruby there, but it's taking so long to actually get to where Ruby is located due to the positioning of this Widowmaker that it's just not beneficial. And the catnap does happen on Zombitron once again. Doesn't make it off the map this time as Zephyr comes in with a blade.
Here comes the Flux as well here from M21X, trying to turn the tide. Zombistron dropped extremely low, but the rest of their team is basically dead. In fact, they're not basically dead, they are dead. M21X is the last one alive. They're trying to keep themselves alive and trying to get back to the cart, but dropping so low in health. Now Patico back on the cat, trying to force out this point. Here comes the Gravitic Flux from Zombistron, but it does absolutely nothing. Not like it needed to. No one was on the cart anyway, as it's going to be a cap here from DGC Archons to bring us to overtime rounds here on Circuit Royale. 1 minute for DGC Archons, a minute 50 for Subsun.
You know, there is a minute to a minute 56 seconds here right now, right? The first fight is going to be so crucial. I really do think, like, with a map like Circuit Royale and just the amount of positioning you constantly have to give up on that first point, I have to imagine that it's just going to be whichever one of these two teams manages to capture first point is probably going to win this. And this was just a funny exchange that continuously happened. Like, every single time Patico tried to take Zombistron off the map, and Zombistron would just Gravitic Flux every time, except for right there, of course. But every other time, that is what happened, and I just really appreciated that exchange, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Again, that shows the impact of Catnapper. Like, even if you don't get the kill, you're forcing out these key abilities. Catnapper definitely one of the most lethal ultimates, I would say, in the game, just because of how much sheer pressure it can cause for anyone involved, whether you're the cat, whether you're the enemy. Well, it's really just an interesting situation. But now, heading into the overtime rounds, DGC Archons will get the initial push here, while Subsun are on the defense. And we're already seeing a little bit of a swap here. Ruby Maple going over to Ash Sojourn. Not willing to go for that immediate pick potential, rather going for the long-term damage that Ash can provide.
And I mean, Circuit Royale, this is usually what you play on Circuit Royale, right? You just play long-range hit scans, play in the back of the map, and just shoot repeatedly. So this is more typical. Maple taking down Zombistron, not what you really want to see if you're DGC. You'll have the opportunity to do like one more reset, but after that, it's going to be just, you know, ball game. You'd better make sure that nobody dies.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Zephyr's already dead here to the hands of Patico and Maple on with the cat and the Sojourn here. It's going to come down really to last fight territory here. DGC Archons already making some desperate swaps. Zephyr going over to the Tracer here. Just need to try and get rid of these hit scans and also keep themselves alive from this Jetpack Cat. As overtime is going to be triggered here, as it's going to be Zombistron on the point, but now you can't leave this point for the rest of the map if you are the side of DGC Archons. You have to stay on this point as long as possible to keep this push going, and already Tiger dropping extremely low here on that Bastion, just barely able to stay alive. Now there's no pylon here from Speed Boost either, and 21X giving up a lot of ground here with the rest of their team, but you see how far the split is right now. DGC Archons are kind of split into groups of two. One group is with the Sigma, the other group is all the way back in the spawn doors, and now now it's going to be the two groups mixing up. M21X getting rid of Sovereign, but they lose DBRX at the same time. So now it's Jetpack Cat versus Alari. And that point is getting ever so closer to getting over to the checkpoint. Here comes Patico with the Catnapper, dropping the Sigma way off the cart, stopping the cart in its tracks with all the pressure coming in. Subsun able to stop that cart at 81 meters here. But that's the benchmark now if you're DGC Archons. Stop it before 81 meters or lose the series.
Honestly, if you're DGC, that's probably better position than you should have gotten, because you really didn't win that fight in any capacity, and you still managed to almost get that point captured. So that's pretty solid if you're DGC, but it really means that you got to play this close. You can't really give up any space whatsoever. And the difficult part of that is that because you're not ever matching Ruby on this Widowmaker, you can't really play the same way that that Subsun is. But Subsun looking as though they're going to opt for this more rush style composition. I'm almost curious, is M21 gonna get picked up over this roof again like we saw last time?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see they're deciding to go over to this composition yet again. I was originally thinking, if you're DGC Archons, do you go for the Ramatra play at the spawn doors? Because you can't really give an inch. Where you're sitting on that bridge, that's pretty close to the end of where Subsun have to get to. So we'll have to see what the move is, but it looks like right now Subsun are going to opt in for this strategy yet again. We'll see how DGC Archons are able to react, but if they notice this Junker Queen immediately, which they probably will, thanks in part to Zephyr, then they're going to have to be prepared for it. Already the knockback coming out from the far of Zephyr, but again, that's so much progress removed. Tiger does get rid of Patico to start off, however, so there is the opportunity here for DGC Archons. Then, yeah, they got rid of both supports now, so now they have a great opportunity to push forward, but they really just need to engage on it. M21X now removed. Maple going to be going in the back line here, trying to get some value, and they'll just get kicked out. They'll just get picked out here, so nice attempt with the Junker Queen over the roof, but it doesn't work twice in a row, unfortunately.
Yeah, did not manage to work that time. You don't give up that much cart space, which is really good here. You know, it gives you at least another fight if you happen to die, but you really can't let that card advance much beyond where it's at right now and expect to get another fight.
1 minute left here for Subsun's attack, as Ruby going to be throwing in those grenades with the Emray dropping. I believe that was Tiger extremely low, but Tiger able to stay up for just a little bit longer. The health pools on the side of Subsun extremely low. Patico dead again. Patico has seemingly died first on a lot of these fights playing this Jetpack Cat, but now there's the trade that they were looking for. Maple getting rid of Zephyr here. Tiger, however, turning it out in the opposite way, M21X dead. Ruby dead now. It's a back and forth affair, but it looks like at the end of the day, DGC Archons holding this point yet again. 30 seconds on the clock. We might see a map 5 here, Shadowfang, if all goes right for DGC.
There's a real possibility. Ruby getting close to ultimate on that Emiray, but outside of that, we got this Amp Matrix from Sovereign that could prove key when the side of Subsun try and walk around this corner.
Here comes the Amplification Matrix from Sovereign to start off the engage, just trying to find that pick, and Maple's dead. What a good pick coming out here from DGC Archons. Zephyr finding that crucial pick. Maple now out of the picture. 1 DPS down. Someone from Subsun has to touch the point. They're going to be able to touch, but now the override protocol comes out from Ruby. Are they able to find a crucial pick when it matters the most? They're looking for that Pharah of Zephyr, and Zephyr's now dead in the hands of DBRX. Ruby getting rid of Sovereign as well. Now that's 2 picks in favor, but Patico is once again down. Here comes the Gravitic Flux coming out here from Zombastron. It's able to land on a couple targets, but the Immortality Field is there from DBRX. Speed Boost just trying to keep their team alive right now, but it looks like it's going to be all for naught here. DGC Archons need to try and get this Pharah back in, but Zombastron is dead. Speed Boost going to be stepping here onto the objective, but all that's left is Pharah here of Zephyr, able to get rid of Maple, but they have to touch the card in time. Here comes the barrage from Zephyr, gets rid of Ruby, almost able to get rid of the Baptiste of DBRX, but there's no one there to finish it off, and Patico, the final nail in the coffin, the 2 kills with the Jetpack Cat, able to clean up the deal as Subsun take yet another victory here in CGL Season 17, and DGC Archons still looking for that first win, but at least their first map has been claimed.
Oh, that was so close for DGC. We were very close to a map 5 there. Subsun just got all their ultimates online just in time to really make sure that they captured that point out. And then it was just losing Zephyr on that Pharah right when they got the barrage, you know, that could get you basically a guaranteed kill. that was really tough to recover from. And, just overall, Subsun just continuously making those right plays over and over again over the course of this entire series.
Yeah, definitely. Subsun just having a really good understanding here of the compositions, able to make use of a lot of these heroes. They did have that loss on King's Row, but they were able to rebound from it and able to take out the victory at the end of the day. And even with the Jetpack Cat, Patico again had some on and off moments on the Jetpack Cat, but was still able to come out on top at the end of the day with some very clutch plays that turned the tide of battle here. For DGC Archons, it was a step in the right direction. They came very close on maps 2 and 4, especially those being their map picks. They were able to try and find some success, but at the end of the day, just seeming to not be their day. But hopefully this is a sign of good things for the future here for DGC Archons. Again, a team that up until today has not won a map in their CGL tenure. So hopefully good times await.
Yeah, they had really good moments, like I said, throughout this series. They just couldn't string them together consecutively, except on King's Row. But yeah, outside of that, though, it was hard for them to string together these good plays repeatedly.
Yeah, there's that barrage almost finishing out the deal, with Patico coming in for the final play to be able to turn that around. And at the end of the day, it's, again, Subsun getting yet another victory here in CGL Season 17. That puts them at a 2-1 record and puts them in a good sort of situation here, Shadowfang, to go into the mid-season tournament, to be able to qualify for that tournament in 1 week's time to try and make their way in, to try and get some extra bonus points for their standings.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you a good chance to see where you rank against the top teams in the tier. At least, the current top teams in the tier. Maybe it changes over the course of the season, but typically what you're seeing in the midseason are usually the best teams. Sometimes it ends up not being that way, but more often than not, you're looking at what is going to eventually be playoff matchups.
Yeah, just a reminder of all the bans we had, of course, over the series. It mostly was the tank bans coming out from Subsun. DGC Archons mainly went for the DPS -1 Lucio ban and Zenyatta ban from Archons and Subsun, respectively, but I mean, we sort of see that dynamic. Really, Subsun seemed to struggle a little bit against those brawlier tanks, but with the Junker Queen, they were able to really rush in and be able to get that value down to the best of their ability. So, really good showing here from both of these players, and really good showing for both of these, of all the players and the teams to be able to win it out here at the end of the day. So, really a good showing here from everyone here on the side of both of these teams here, Shadow.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. Great showing from DGC getting their first map win this season and showing that they can really compete with one of the, what I would say is upper echelon teams in the tier. So, it's not shameful to lose to one of the upper teams here.
Yep, definitely. But of course, with the end of the match comes an end of a match interview. So we'll be right back after a quick break, and we'll be back with one of the members on the side of Subsun for an interview. So don't go anywhere. More post-match reactions coming right after the break here at CGL Season 17. Welcome back, everybody, to more CGL Season 17 coverage. We are here with Maple, the winner of one of the winners on the team of Subsun, taking the 3-1 victory here today. Congratulations, Maple, on the victory here today. How does it feel? And they're not in VC. Oh no, they are in VC. Sorry,
I'm right here.
Yeah, sorry.
Hello. It feels pretty nice to win that. All the maps are so much closer than we wanted, but a lot of that has to do with me, running down each map.
Yeah, I mean that can happen sometimes, but take me through some of those maps. I want to first off start off with map number 2. Obviously, one of your first map loss of this season, your first map loss of this year here in the normal CGL tournaments. What was going through your mind after that map? Obviously, a map where you experimented with some new compositions that you couldn't play before. Obviously, not winning that map was not what you wanted. But what was your thought coming after that map? Just trying to think about what to do after the map.
Honestly, there wasn't much thinking to it, because if we overthink it, we're just going to get sad about it. We just thought, next map, let's play like we usually do, get our band set, and just be ready.
There you go, easy enough. Just forgetting the map is probably the best way to do it. So good way to be able to handle that. Now, one of the big things this week is that this was the first week of this season where you were able to play the 5 new heroes that were introduced in Season 1 of Conquest. And your team was the most prevalent in this match that was able to do that. You had the Jetpack Cat, you had the Domina back on King's Row, and you also showed some flashes of the M-Ray. Is that stuff that you've been practicing for, or was that a in-the-moment situation? Like, let's play these heroes and let's see what happens.
About practicing them, I haven't been finding as many scrims recently, so all this is on a whim. Pataco's a new player, plays Jetpack Cat. We wanted to try it out. No better way to start it than in a game. Emery was just on a whim, and so was the Domina.
Okay, well that sort of answers the question of like what the sort of strategy was for all of those. And I definitely will say Pataco's Jetpack Cat was the one that made most of the highlight reels there, because
so much.
Yeah, it's kind of insane how much of an impact Jetpack Cat can make in the match.
Very much so.
It's definitely a reason why they're on the nerf list right now. So we'll see what happens with that. Shadowfang, do you have any words here for our winner Maple?
All right, so with the win, this bumps y'all up to where you're most likely going to end up making this midseason tournament. Is there any team that you're potentially looking forward to seeing how you guys measure up against in that midseason tournament, or just in the tier overall?
Yeah, actually, off the top of my head, last season we lost to Primordius Rising. I want to go against them again. See how we feel now.
All right, well, you've heard the word here first, folks. Primordius Rising, better watch their backs. If Subsun is in that midseason tournament, they're coming after you here. But once again, congratulations on the win. Any final words of appreciation you want to give out to anyone on your team or anyone who might be watching the stream here today before we send you on your way?
I just want to give a thank you to Pataco for joining the team and staying with us. It was an amazing match, and I am very grateful to have another player on my team.
Always good to have those extra players, especially when some of the players don't show up. So great to see that Pataco's able to mesh in with the team very well. But once again, congratulations on your win, Maples, and we hope to see you in the future of the CGL Season 17.
Thank you.
Alrighty, and with that, Shadowfang, that is the end of our broadcast here today. A very incredible match here between Subsun and DGC Archons, going the way of Subsun here today. But still, a lot of things over the course of this matchup that we got to learn. We got to learn how Jetpack Cat is played, and we got to learn that DGC Archons can win a map. No offense to DGC Archons, but it's big. It's your first map win, so a lot to improve on.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It was really fun, especially with this being my first cast this week, just to actually get to see the new heroes. I wasn't sure if I was going to get to see any of the new heroes tonight. And getting to see just the silliness of that Jetpack Cat, but also simultaneously just the amount of damage and final blows you can get with that cat, because I don't know if you played against that cat. That cat's really hard to hit consistently.
Yeah, there's a reason Jetpack Cat is currently on the nerf list for Blizzard, because it's just doing so much value. But regardless of which, cat shenanigans aside, that is going to do it for our broadcast here today at CGL Season 17. But we do have more coverage over the course of the week as we head into week number 4 of the season. But that is going to do it for us here today. For my wonderful co-caster Shadow Fang, as well as our amazing producer Hippie and our observer earlier today, and our observer Reclaimer earlier today, my name has been Bowsy. Until we meet again, we hope you all have an amazing night, and we'll see you for more CGL action as the season goes on.